Good evening, Fountain of Life. How are you doing tonight? My name is Brad. For anybody that doesn't know, which I would guesstimate to be 95 to 100% of the people watching, except for my wife Shiloh. I see that she's on there. This is my good friend Darren. He is with us tonight. We are filling in for Pastor Hans, who obviously is not here. But we just want to give you a few moments here to log on. We're going to say hello to whoever we see. I see Kendale, Tony, Shiloh, Lynette. Hello, Miss Lynette. I somehow just loved a comment on here, so hey, good for that. But we had an awesome family day on Sunday. I don't know how many of you were able to be here, but it was packed out, so I would say most of you probably were, but Miss Stacy did a great job putting that all together. We had hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, drinks. It was a great time of getting together with everybody. There was a lot of people that did bring their family, so I know we had passed out some prayer cards, and we were praying for people, and I know some people accepted Jesus on Sunday, so that's always the goal and what we are striving for. But it was an awesome, awesome day, so thank you to all the volunteers that made that possible. Things like that are not easy. That's a lot of hard work on the front end, a lot of hard work cleaning up. So thank you so much for everybody that made that possible. Hey, George. Hey, Connie. Hey, Angela. Mike. Don. Eric. Couple more quick announcements. We have Breaking Barriers coming up October 3rd through the 7th. Every night at 7, we've got some powerful speakers. We've got Doug Eccles, Tony Suarez, Pastor Randy Hill, and Kent Christmas. And Pastor Kent is bringing his daughter Jasmine, which is a great worship leader. Sure, I don't know exactly what she'll be doing, but whatever it is, it will be good. So anyway, as you all are logging on, let's see here. We've got Phyllis, Rhoda. Miss Rhoda is watching. That is Darren's bride. Angela, Rita. So myself and then my wife Shiloh, we have the opportunity to work with most of the volunteers here on a Sunday. We work with like the Welcome Center, the bookstore, the cafe, the ushers, the greeters, the parking lot, and we serve on the worship team. So help out a little with the media. We try to serve wherever we can serve. But one of the amazing things of getting to work with everybody is you get to meet some amazing people. And one of those amazing people is Darren. Darren is a former, before we get to that, he is like our head usher. He's another type of person that's willing to do whatever. Like Sunday, we were setting up tables. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make a Sunday happen with excellence. But in his professional life, he was a rescue swimmer, which is, you got to be a serious dude to jump into like raging waters to rescue people that you don't even know. I couldn't do it. I struggle. I told him I'd probably need. I don't know if I could even do it at like the wave pool at Ocean Breeze. Like I don't know. I just couldn't do it. So anyway, but this man can. So he's got a powerful, powerful testimony. Things that he has done throughout his career. Some crazy stories. Like I said, he's got a powerful testimony. I'm gonna. Just to kind of preface it a little bit, and then obviously he's gonna share with us his testimony. But this is a book that was written about a specific rescue that he took part in. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this here. It says on December 17th, 2000, Coast Guard Air Station, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, performed one of the most heroic rescues in the history of the service. The cruise ship Sea Breeze was listing, battered by hurricane-force winds and 35-foot seas. The ship and the lives of its 34 crewmen were in imminent peril. A rescue helicopter arrived and, seeing that the vessel could capsize at any moment, hoisted 26 of the crew to safety, a record for a single helicopter rescue. So there's more to that, but we'll just wait. We'll leave it for there. So anyway, Darren, if you would, I would love if you could just share with us a little bit about your career. And look, he has so many newspaper articles, magazines. He helped out with a movie. I mean, you couldn't even begin to imagine the stuff that he's done because he never says any of this stuff. The only reason I know is because I drill him with questions because I'm so curious about what he's done. But plenty of people do know what he's done. But like I said, the main thing about Darren is he wants to see people come to Jesus. He wants to serve in the church. And for him, that's what it's all about. But he has a powerful testimony. So if you don't mind, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your testimony, and then from there, we will keep on going.
All right. Well, good evening. Thanks, Brad, for that great introduction. I'll probably say more in the next hour than I will in the next 2 weeks. I just don't talk a lot. I'm not a braggadocious guy. I don't mind telling stories about all the Coast Guard rescues I've done. It's exciting. I loved it over my career. But, I usually don't talk about it unless people ask me. So, you've been asking me.
I've asked him so many times, and look, we're talking about like a year and a half, 2 years of me asking him, and he's just now finally telling me. So, you're in for a treat because he really does not tell this stuff. So,
but I need to just back up and go back to my childhood, give a little bit of my life story. It wasn't really always a happy story. My wife's probably going to learn some stuff here tonight. It's not that I'm ashamed of it because, Jesus took all my shame from me. But certainly I'm not proud of my life, but yet that was it. It was my life, and I can't do anything about it. I can't undo it. Yeah. But what I can do is share, what took place. So, anyways, I was born in southern Florida. My dad was a raging alcoholic. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was violent, and they got divorced when I was about 5 years old. We moved around a whole lot. My mom just dated other guys, and it wasn't good. I can't tell you how many times we moved. By the time I was 12 or 14, we moved in the state, out of the state several times, back and forth. I switched schools so many times. I couldn't tell you all the schools I went to. My mom worked at a bar in the evenings. She finally married a guy when I was probably about 11 years old, 10 or 11. And so my mom worked nights. She went to work about 3, 4 in the afternoon, worked till 2 or 3 in the morning, and slept most of the day. So my sister and I, she was 2 years older than me. We kind of raised ourselves. We didn't have any adult oversight whatsoever. We got into drugs and drinking early. I was 11 when I started doing drugs and drinking. My sister was pregnant a couple times. By 13, she had a couple of abortions. We were just out of control. Really no adult leadership in our life at all. And plus moving around so much wreaked havoc on us.
Sure, yeah.
Anyhow, we moved to Pennsylvania for about a year or so, my parents, my mom and my stepdad. And I was disgusted with life. And one day I was just talking stupid stuff, and I said, I'm going to go back down to see my dad in Florida. And my mom said, well, just go then. And I said, well, fine, I'll just hitchhike. And she said, come on. And we got in the car, her and my stepdad. They drove me to the interstate. It was late fall in Pennsylvania. And I had $12 in my pocket. They dropped me off the interstate. And they're driving down the road. And I'm like, really? Is this really happening?
You were how old?
14.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I started to cry. And I just got so angry. And I was like, fine. I'm just going to, and I did. I hitchhiked to Florida. The cops picked me up in St. Augustine, Florida. Along the way, I escaped.
Oh, my goodness.
Continued on to my dad's. And it was a great move. When I got there, he lived with a couple other alcoholics. And every night he would drink, 8, 10 beers, plus supplement that with shots of whiskey in between. And after a while, I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm hungry here, bro. I got to eat. And so he would take me to a bar in the late afternoon once a day and get me a sandwich and a Coke. You know, that was the extent of my subsistence. So I had to, you know, I went out stealing food at night and got pretty good at it. And the other folks he lived with was like, hey, man, how's all this food getting in the house here? And I was bringing it home.
Creativity.
So it was rough. And then I ended up going back to Pennsylvania, and I actually went back and forth 3 times when
like
I was
on your own,
my own.
like hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy. Met nefarious people along the way, and people trying to do me harm. But I just became so hard-hearted, and my life was just miserable. I finally ended up working full-time by the time I was about 15, and I just raised myself.
Wow.
And, you know, I didn't really hate my parents, but I didn't respect them. Anyhow, so by the time I was 18, long story short, I'd been in a lot of trouble, Brad. I mean, I was a bad guy. And I said, I'm just going to join the military. So I did. I went down and joined the Army. They looked at my record like, no, bro, not happening. And I ended up getting an attorney. They expunged my juvenile record. I had to go, they wanted a high school diploma too.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine that. So I did. I went back to night school and got my GED, and I was able to get in the Army.
So it was the start of the turnaround. A little bit.
No, sir.
Not yet.
So, yeah, I mean, the military taught me discipline. You know, march, roll my socks up and stuff. But I went to Europe for a couple years, and they have better beer there than we do here. And they have drugs over there, too. Yeah. And I got in a lot of trouble in the Army. So, no, the military wasn't a turnaround for me. I got out of the Army, long story short, and did my tour and tried various things. And I was just, everything I did, I was a loser, you know. I was living in a trailer, and I had a vehicle and it broke down, and, you know, life was miserable for me. I hated my life, but whatever, I was stuck with it. Anyhow, I stumbled onto the Coast Guard and talked to those guys, and they're like, yeah, dude, we'll take you. And I'm like, I think I'll try that, you know?
Yeah.
And I did. And I really liked the Coast Guard. But guess what? I was still getting drunk and still getting in trouble. And every time I got in trouble in the military, it was always due to drinking, without, you know, every single time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, got in trouble. Went on a ship, went to a small boat station, and I signed up for aviation to be an aviation survival technician. And the school's here in Elizabeth City. I came here, and at the time when I signed up for it, I didn't even realize it was a rescue swimmer program. Someone just told me, you're going to be a rescue swimmer? And I was like, okay.
No idea.
Sure. So I didn't come at it with noble intentions. I was just stumbling through my life from one bar to the next, you know.
Right.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll was, you know.
Yeah.
It was the thing. Anyhow, graduated A school, went through rescue swimmer school, and made it through there. And I got stationed at Barbers Point, Hawaii. And
how old were you at this point, roughly?
At that time, so I'd already done my time in the Army. I was about 26.
26.
Yep.
Wow. So while he's, just for everybody logging on, this is Darren. He's given us a little bit of his testimony of his juvenile life and his life leading up to where we are now. But anyway, so.
No. So, yeah, Barbers Point, and it was beautiful. It was a magnificent place. And I started flying around the Hawaiian Islands in a helicopter. And wow.
Nice scenery.
It was. But I still kept getting in trouble, Brad. I was getting drunk and got in trouble. And one night in particular, I got extra drunk. A friend of mine took me to the bar and bought shots of tequila. And I don't know, 8, 10 shots later, I was walking out the door, and some Navy guy smarted off to me. Yeah, that's all it took. And I got in trouble again, And then the rest of the night, I mean, I was such a fool. I did such stupid things that I'm not even going to mention it. It was just so embarrassing. Anyhow, they brought me before the captain, and there I was, and he's like, explain yourself. Yeah, well,
not
yeah,
too much to explain.
I'm a drunken bum. I mean, I don't know what to say. And so, they gave me punishment, a suspended bus. But something, I don't know, clicked in my brain, and I started thinking, wow, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Anyhow, it was right around April, and they had a miniseries coming on television, and it was the Jesus of Nazareth miniseries. They were going to play it over, and I didn't grow up a Christian. I didn't know anything about Christianity. I didn't talk Christian language. But I saw that, and I was drawn to it. And by the way, one time when I was about 14, one guy shared, the salvation message with him, and I said, dude, you get away from me, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
But that was my hard heart.
Yeah, you didn't want to hear it.
No, I didn't. But what he said, I knew it was true. And so anyways, in my mind, I was going to get saved when I was 80 on my deathbed.
Wait.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, have fun and wait it out, right?
Yeah, because I was having fun. Anyhow, so I locked myself in the room, and I watched that whole thing over a period of 3-4 nights. And it was, like I said, it was right around Easter time. So there I was in my room. Oh, one day in the barracks, I was living in the barracks, and I had a little 12-inch television in my room, and I was ironing some clothes, and somehow a preacher got on the TV, and he was preaching. I'm like, what is this guy? Ooh, and I got mad, and I actually threw something at the television. Shut up, dude.
Did you?
And I did, and I went over and I turned it off, but it was too late. Those words that he said, was going over in my mind, and now I'm going to totally embarrass myself here. I believed something. I believe it was a lie from the enemy now, but at the time I didn't know. But I believed that if I asked Jesus into my heart, I thought my physical heart inside of me would rupture and I would die. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know how, but I believed it.
Yeah.
So if you believe
fear. It's a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And perception is everything, right?
Right.
So I wasn't going to do that because who wants to die, right? But my whole life had been in the bottom of the barrel. But actually, in Hawaii, it's like life is good, and it was the best that I ever had. But there was something missing. And anyhow, I got out on my knees and I said, "All right, Jesus, I'm ready. I'm ready for my heart to rupture right in my chest, and if that's what it takes, I'll die right here, right now."
Yeah.
And I did, and I prayed and asked Jesus into my heart. I peeked. Maybe,
Am I still here?
An angel around here somewhere. And, nothing happened. But, and there's a couple things I left out. When I started crying when my mom left me there at the interstate, I didn't cry again until I was 27 years old.
Wow.
The rest of my life.
That's I can't even imagine at that age. You're not, it's just not right. That shouldn't happen, So the stuff that you had to go through in those, 12, 13 years, whatever it was, that stuff that some people probably never have never gone through their entire life, let alone going through it before you're even like a legal adult. That's just crazy. Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time, but, my heart became hard. I became this tough guy, self-sufficient. I don't need anybody else. And I just didn't cry. And again, I didn't consciously think about that. And it wasn't until I became a Christian that I even realized that.
Sure.
But I hadn't cried. Anyhow, I became a Christian. And what a game changer. I mean, Jesus came into me and rocked my world. I met Christians.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of them around, and I didn't know. I never noticed them.
Sure.
There was a guy lived a few doors down from me. He's one of my best friends to this day, and a mighty man of God. But he said he'll tell you, I wouldn't even talk to you, dude. You were that bad.
Wow.
And even when I first started talking to him about, he didn't trust me and believe me. He thought I was trying to pull some kind of con.
Yeah.
But they invited me up to church, up the hill, and someone gave me a Bible. I read the cover off of that thing. Just worked out. There was a Navy pilot said, "Hey, man, I need a roommate. You want to be a roommate?" And just that day, they told me, "Hey, man, you can move out of the barracks on the economy if you want, where they pay you." And I'm like, Providence, okay.
Yeah.
So I moved in, an Army chaplain, a Navy pilot, myself were roommates. And in a beautiful home up on a hill where we could oversee Diamond Head. And
Wow.
on any given night, there was 15, 30 people in the house and doing Bible studies. And
It's crazy how that stuff just kind of like orchestrates itself.
it was amazing. It
Wow.
was just so amazing. And this guy's family came out for Thanksgiving one year, and I remember sitting there, and all of this love, was taking place in this home, and I'm like, wow, this is what it's like to have a family.
Right.
And I read Psalm 2 where it said, "Today I've become your father, and you become my son," and I was welcomed into the family of God. When I was 21, my dad had died, and I went to his funeral. It was him and my mom showed up too, and I didn't cry, Brad. I just
Wow.
I didn't hate him, but I didn't respect him.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't, again, until I became a Christian that I went back and mourned all this stuff. And, I was like, wow, I was such a horrible kid.
Well,
to my
you
parents.
didn't have the best viewpoint of a good father, because you didn't have that, which is, not to be jumping ahead, but oftentimes the case of someone like you who's such an amazing father. But anyway, I still like, that's just hard. This is stuff I haven't heard, and I've been drilling him with questions. So that's just crazy. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
But God got a hold of me, man. And he, I was the radical guy.
Right,
And I was in the maintenance control one day, and I was writing in the aircraft logbooks, and it was busy in there, and everybody started leaving. There was just one guy left and myself, and I knew he was staring at me. And I looked, "Hey, bud, what's up?" And he's like, "Dude, what happened to you?" He goes, "Did you just see the light?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. I gave my life to Jesus." And so, needless to say, a lot of that stuff that it hangs on, into your
Oh, sure.
Christian life. And so it was a lot of everything that I struggled with, like my language, gone. I didn't sleep with another woman until I, got married. Some things God just
Yeah.
miraculously took.
overnight,
It's like a
gone.
down payment
Yeah.
of like, "Hey, Lou, you're saved." And
The desire for that stuff was just gone.
yeah, but of course, there's stuff you got to struggle with
Sure.
still, and that's just life. That's
Yeah,
sanctification
you got to work through some stuff.
process. So, anyways, it was really then, that I was a rescue swimmer, and I was at an operational unit, got qualified, and so now I start doing rescues, and because I came from such a non-Christian, I spiritualized everything, and everything that happened to me in my life was a spiritual lesson.
Yeah.
And
Maybe some of us should do that a little bit more.
I still do it.
Yeah,
but it's a good
it's
thing.
not bad, that's
And
for sure.
I started crying, Brad, and I'm probably going to cry some point tonight, but it's okay.
we'll get-
It's
I'll
good,
get the
because
tissues.
God softened my heart.
Yeah.
And if I go a week or two without crying now, I start, "Hey, Lord, am I okay?"
Sure.
I don't want to harden my heart again. And I got to make up for a few years that I missed crying.
Yeah. Well, it's true. So he's the type of person that he doesn't say a lot, and there's been some times where like I was upset about something, and I would say something, and then he would respond to me. I'm like, man, he is right. He gives you these little one sentence things that just like a dagger, and you're like, man, I never really thought of that. But you've helped me so many times with that stuff. So you are sensitive in a good way, sensitive to the Spirit, which is, thinking about everything you've just said, where you've come from to where you are now. It's like, I mean, what a testimony. Like, crazy. All right, keep on.
Yeah, so God started using even me, Brad. I mean, if you could believe that, who could believe that? I mean, I would have never guessed. There's so many spiritual lessons that I learned. I'll skip all those, but I'll go to the rescue swimmer stuff.
Yeah, all right.
I know that's what you want to hear.
Well, no, I want to hear it all. But, all right, so let me tell you this. I've heard quite a few of these stories now. It took me a while to get to that with him. But this stuff is crazy. Like, I'm not going to ruin anything. But, look, share. I don't know who's on here still. But please share this, because the stuff that he has been through, and like he was just saying, how he equates a lot of this stuff to spiritual things, it'll change the way that you think about a lot. And this is not normal. People are not rescuing people for their job, and especially not in these type of conditions and stuff. It's anyway, yeah. All right, go for it. What's first?
I'll start with the first things I saw in Hawaii was, so I had duty one day, and the alarm went off for an aircraft incident off in between Oahu and Maui, and it was Aloha Flight 243, and that was the aircraft that was traveling inter-island, and the roof came off of it, and yep,
oh my gosh,
you can Google it. It's crazy. Anyways, they landed safely. They lost one person, a flight attendant. So we were out searching for her.
She like flew out of the plane or something?
She did, yes. She wasn't strapped in. Everybody else had their seatbelts on. But
that's what seatbelts on an airplane are for.
That's right.
I've always wondered why there's.
The next one was United Flight 811. It was probably about a year later. It was early in the morning, maybe 4:30. The alarm went off. It said a bomb explosion on a 747, 100 miles offshore. It's like, wow, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
So we went out and, got the airplane out and getting ready to turn up. And what happened was, it was a 747. When they got up to altitude, the cabin pressure changes, and there was a faulty latch on the cargo door. And so they had what they call explosive decompression. Basically, the latch failed, the cargo door blew off, and it blew a big hole in the side of the aircraft. Unfortunately, all the debris went into the two engines on the right-hand side, and it took, I want to say, 11 rows of seats out with it. So I forget how many people went out with it.
Wow.
So anyways, we're out there, and we just started turning up, getting ready to launch, and by that time, the aircraft had turned around and came back, and the air station, the Coast Guard Air Station, is on short final into Honolulu International Airport, and the aircraft flew right over us at probably about 600-700 feet on the way into Honolulu, and the two right engines, it was a beautiful, the sun hadn't quite come up yet, but the beautiful orange Hawaiian sun coming up, and this giant aircraft flew over us with two engines on fire, smoking right over top. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we thought, everything's good. But then, of course, they told us, no, you need to go look because, all those people got sucked out and they all were deceased. But we found the debris about 100 miles offshore.
Man. So, wow. So, see, that's the side of it, too, that you see the rescues, but you also see the death, which I can only imagine gives you a whole different perspective on life.
It really does.
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers, but probably recovered as many deceased people as live, and it's terrible, especially if it's like children. Children, I mean,
Sure. Oh yeah.
After you become a parent, and
I can't.
you see children die. It's like it's so emotionally traumatic. You can't. It can't not affect you.
Sure. Yeah, that's stuff that you can't unsee.
That's right.
That's so. I don't want to jump too far ahead, and if you have something in between, but you told me a story the other day of I think it was like a father and son or something. Can you tell us that one?
So that was off Astoria, Oregon. It's actually on the Washington side of the Columbia River. And they have, I don't know, a couple 100-foot high cliffs there. And people hike along the rocks all the time. And it was big waves, about 30-foot breaking waves coming in, and it's right against the flat cliffs. And I don't know if they were hiking or fishing. I forget. I have to read the story again. But the son accidentally fell off of the lower end of the cliffs where they were, and he went into the surf. And then the father, being a good father, he jumped in to save his son. Of course, they both drowned. It's just horrendous surf. But they called us out. Somebody on shore called, and we went out there, and we saw, I believe it was the father in the surf, and he was still alive. And so they lowered me down to get this guy, and he was pretty close to the cliff, so I was swimming for this guy, and right before I got to him, the water dipped down. I knew a big wave was coming. I turned around, yeah, sure enough, so I had to duck dive under the wave. If you get caught in it, it'll kill you, basically.
Yeah.
So, and then when I came back up, I was pretty close to the guy, but when I came up, I couldn't locate him again. He was gone. And in the midst of all this chaos, of course I was terrified, but there was a seal came up, and, he was barking, and he was having fun.
Yeah,
I'm like terrified. I'm like, whoa, how come you're having fun? And I was thinking, you should help. You're good at this.
Fetch.
But one thing I learned from that was, in the midst of all this chaos and terror, this guy was at peace. So I was like, I can do that too. And I realized there is some semblance of peace even in the worst of it. So that helped me through the rest of my career. And like if you get in big waves offshore, I actually started enjoying it because it's quiet. If the wind's not blowing too hard, it's quiet, and it almost sounds like a little brook babbling.
So, like you're in a house on a river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so God is awesome. In Psalm, it says, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there you're with me. And I settle on the far side of the sea a lot. It's like, I'm here again, Lord.
Literally.
But God was always right there with me.
Yeah. Well, he protected you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know how many rescues you went on?
I don't. I do
no,
not.
A lot.
A lot.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah. See, so just that protection over your life is something to be thankful for. That's dangerous. That's dangerous stuff. Well, so if you're just logging on, Darren has given us his testimony of his childhood years up through his adult life and some stories of his career as a rescue swimmer. But his testimony is so powerful. That's the thing is, it doesn't matter what you've done, where you've been, what you've gone through. Nobody is ever at a place where Jesus can't help you. It doesn't matter what you've done. You could run for years, and he's still right there just waiting for you. That's right. Yeah. All right. So you told us another story of it was a Hispanic guy and somebody else on a boat, I believe is what it was. You got to tell us about that one.
Sure. It was in San Francisco. There was a boat fire about 60 miles offshore. So we flew out there, reported 2 people on board. The boat was completely engulfed in flames when we got there. So we did an expanding square search around. And the Pacific Ocean is usually about 55 degrees temperature. So you can only stay out there so long till you get hypothermia. We located the first survivor. He was the captain of the boat. After about an hour of searching, and we recovered him. And it was, nice 15-foot rolling seas. And asked him how many people are on board. He said, one more guy, a Hispanic guy, doesn't speak English. Okay. So we searched about another 3 hours and finally located him. I gave him up for dead. I said, this guy, we're not going to find him.
Yeah.
But we did. and he had a survival suit, but instead of putting it on, he was floating on top of it. And so he was still exposed to the cold water. And anyhow, I deployed down to get this guy, and I got a hold of him. They lowered the basket, and he was kind of fighting me at first, and I got him in the basket, and then he jumped out of the basket. So I was like, wow, okay. I went over and got him again, and he was just ballistically out of control. And I'm trying to talk to him, calm him down. He wasn't having it. He was fighting me. I got him over to the basket again, and no, he was like the Tasmanian devil trying to restrain him. I was screaming at him. I put him underwater a couple times. Dude, you gonna calm? Nope. Dude, you gonna calm down? Nope. And he was so strong and fighting me so hard, and I'm trying to think, why is this,
Yeah, you're trying to save his life, and he's fighting you.
Absolutely. And I couldn't get him in the basket. It was impossible. And so there was a boat from an oil tanker came over, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm taking this guy to the boat. And I got him over to the boat. They picked him up. Long story short, they went back to the oil tanker they came from. They hoisted him up. And I got back in the aircraft. They flew me over to the boat, lowered me down. They had to go back and get fuel. And I went in there to the sick bay where they brought him, and he was convulsing violently. And I got him in a sleeping bag and put some hot water bottles in there with him, and he really went ballistic in convulsing, and then he just went limp. I thought he died. I couldn't get a pulse on him. He was barely breathing, but he was alive. And anyhow, he made it, survived.
Yeah.
But remembering back, it's always easy when you're Monday morning quarterbacking.
Sure.
I remembered in training, when people get hypothermia or a head injury, something like that, on drugs, whatever, sometimes they become what they call a combative survivor.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy was. So he was fighting me. And, of course, I shared the lesson, that God taught me through that.
Yeah, tell us.
Sure. Because every time I did a rescue, well, first of all, I always prayed, even before we left. And I always prayed for everybody, and whenever we recovered somebody that had drowned or plane crash or whatever, I always prayed for them, and I prayed for them to come back to life.
Yeah.
It says, raise the dead.
Yeah, hey.
And nobody ever came back to life. But that didn't stop me, and my faith wasn't deterred, because maybe this is the one, Lord.
Amen. Yeah,
and
don't stop.
So if you fall over, I'm going to pray for you, Brad, just so you know.
I think it's going well enough. I'm not going to fall out.
Okay.
That's good. We'll see. We still got like 15
Because my stats really aren't that good right now.
Yeah, I don't want to be the. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep sitting right here.
But anyhow, so I realized that guy was me, and God goes to such great lengths to rescue us. I mean, if you think about what Jesus did. If I was God, I'm pretty sure I could come up with an easier plan to rescue mankind, other than what Jesus did. And I mean, it was so agonizing. He sweated blood.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be like that? I'm still not sure I grasp, but I know what his word says. Apart from the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. So he had to do that, and he did it. And yet, I fight him. I fought him my whole life, just like this wild man.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, shut up. I'm trying to help you. But no, we fight God, and he won't give up.
Right. Yeah. He's there like you with your arms around that guy. That's what he does for us, and we still swat him away, say, no, I'm not ready. I don't want to do that. And then in the meantime, some people run away from God and their life is perfectly fine. But there's other people that are running from God, and it's just one mess after another. And you would think in either situation, you would turn to him. But it's just crazy how difficult sometimes people make it to just do the right thing. That's a perfect example of that, though.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other... You got any other cool stories? I know you do.
Brad, how much time you got, Brad?
I mean,
again, I'm not braggadocious, but this stuff all happened. I mean, I was there, did it, and it was my job. I mean, I didn't really think of it as I'm a great guy or anything. I don't think I coined the phrase, but someone said, I'm just an ordinary guy in an extraordinary job, and I liked that. There were other guys, some of the rescue swimmers. Most of them are pretty humble, servant-hearted guys. But one guy was doing an interview one time, and he said, "Nobody dies on my watch." And I was like, I would never be so, brave as to say something like that, because a lot of people died on my watch.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And I had to ask God, well, why are all these people dying, Lord? Why? Why can't we help them? And really, what the answer I got for that was, people live and people die, and I can't change that.
Yeah. That's why it's important to be ready all the time. Like I think you said, I think it was you who made the comment the other day, like some of the people you rescued, like some of the clothing that they had on, like they were just going, like going to the beach or going wherever, had a day planned out with their friends, family, not knowing that trip or whatever it was that was happening would be the last thing that they ever did.
That's right.
So you never know. Like, you have to be ready all the time. Like what he had said, "Oh, wait, I'll get saved when I'm 80 and I'm about to die." You don't know when that time's going to come. So you have to be ready. Like, don't push it off. Not to mention the benefits of serving Jesus. Like, there's benefits to it as well. So why go through things that you don't have to go through? But anyway, all right, so tell us something else.
Okay, so I'll tell you a happy story.
All right.
I guess it starts out sad. We got a call up in Chesapeake Bay and for an overturned boat with several people on board. And we're out there flying around, and we spotted the guy, and he actually had a life jacket on, and he was floating nice and high, sweet. And I jumped out of the helicopter, swam over to him, but he was deceased. And I was like, even though he had a life jacket on, he might have had a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
Older guy. Anyways, so we recovered him, and we take orders from RCC, Rescue Coordination Center, and they sit there with their maps and plotters, and so they gave us new coordinates to search, and we plotted out. I was like, dude, that's 15 miles away, and we just found this guy right here.
Right.
And they're like, nope, go there. But nope, go there. Okay, well, we'll go there. So we dropped this guy off to an ambulance on shore, and then we flew to the new location. And it's along the shoreline in Chesapeake Bay. It's like, well, this is brilliant, And like good coasties, we grumbled. And
yeah. Great call.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, we were flying along a pier, and the hoist operator is in the right side, and he's like, "Hey, boss, those guys on the pier are kind of waving frantically at us." So, well, we're not doing anything else. So we went back around and came to a hover, and sure enough, they're waving. They're pointing over there, and it's like, okay. So we hover taxi over, and hey, there's a guy in the water. It's like, oh, and he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so I deployed down, and I swam over to this guy, and it was classic, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something. I mean, he was, he went down for the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
he
like,
went all the way down.
And so, I went underwater a little bit, got him, pulled him up, like, hey, buddy, you doing all right,
Yeah,
Are
you doing all right?
And so what had happened was he was on the beach, and his boat was anchored right off the beach, and he went to swim out to his boat that was anchored, but he got caught in a rip current, and it took him offshore, and so he's come to his, you get exhausted quickly, especially if you panic.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so he was drowning, but some genius in the control room diverted us to right where we needed to be.
Yeah, how did they know? A mistake?
No, that was a mistake for them. But
yeah, but not for him.
But not for that guy. And
wow.
Anyhow, and his two kids, they were like 3 and 5 years old, were on the beach.
Yeah.
Waiting for him. So, anyways, we recovered him, went over to a parking lot, landed, and got him down. It was just a great day, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, how many lives have you saved? Do you know?
There's the question, Brad.
All right. How many lives have you saved?
So, if you met a baseball player, what would you ask him? You know, how many home runs have you hit?
Right.
You meet a cowboy, how many bad guys you shot? You know, and yeah, that's the question everybody asked me throughout my career.
Yeah.
And honestly, so every time we fly a rescue mission, they do what's called a unit case number, and it's like a after action report of what we did. It's a brief summary.
Yep.
And you know, at the bottom it always says either how many lives were assisted. Like if we landed in a field and picked up some stranded hikers, they weren't going to die, but
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
we helped them.
An assist.
But you know, our boy that went out past his boat, that was a life saved. I mean, he
Right.
was going to die
Yeah.
if we did. So anyhow, they always list those numbers, and for a time in the Coast Guard, they started assigning, you know, that number to each rescue swimmer, how many lives saved. And I remember looking at that, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want that. I don't want it to be a number, you know, because it. And then, of course, there was a list of all the rescue swimmers, and this guy has, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I consciously said, I am not going to do that, Lord. I don't want it to be a number thing. I'm just going out for number 99, you know.
Right.
So I intentionally lost count, and fortunately they stopped tracking that by the rescue swimmers themselves. But, you know, the Coast Guard does save those numbers because it's metrics for them.
Yeah. Sure.
Which is good. But it's bad if you assign it, in my opinion, to a person because it becomes a pride thing.
You're right. Yeah.
And, you know, while I loved my job, I truly did, but it was easy to get prideful about it.
I can imagine. Yeah. You're saving people's lives.
And so, you know, the Coast Guard would give us awards. I got so many military awards, so many civilian awards. They did magnificent things for us. I've been to New York 3 times, Washington, D.C., San Diego, for dinners with, you know, the Secretary of the Department, the Commandant of the Coast Guard. I had dinner with Chuck Schumer in New York one time. And that was all fine and dandy. But again, to spiritualize it, you know, what is this, Lord? And, you know, people would say, oh, you're awesome, dude. What a great guy. We had a dinner at the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. They gave us a big award. And Buzz Aldrin, second guy on the moon, he came up to me, shook my hand, and said, dude, I'm proud of you. I'm like, you don't even know me, you know?
Yeah.
Why is Buzz Aldrin proud of me, you know, just because he read a blurb on us? But I realized that, you know, my heart is dark with sin, and I'm not really a good guy, Brad. It might be a noble job, and no doubt it's cool and it's fun and it's enjoyable, but I really never thought like I'm earning points in heaven for doing it. I was just doing my duty. That's my job.
Sure.
And honestly, I was just a scared guy. And every time I jump out of the helicopter to rescue somebody, I realize, oh, now there's 2 of us that need to be rescued. And Lord, you got to pull this off, because that seal could swim around in that water like he knew what he was doing. I was just floating around like a cork, just trying to, you know. I had a guy tell me one time, dude, I'm scared. I said, bro, I'm only slightly less scared than you are. So I was terrified half the time myself. And I needed rescuing, you know.
Sure.
Every time.
Wow. Well, it's I mean, this is such a powerful testimony through your childhood, through everything that you've been through, the way that your life was turned around completely. We have a few minutes left, so I would say if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask, or if anybody has any prayer requests, Darren is a wealth of knowledge, full of wisdom. I couldn't think of somebody else better to help us pray for any situation that may be going on or anything that you may be, needing. But I don't know if I've ever asked you this before or not, but if you had to take all of it, everything that you've been through, and sum it up into like just a brief synopsis, what has changed your life the most? I know that's a tough question to kind of answer on the spot like that, but what would be through everything, through your childhood, through your military training, through the things that you've done, like is there one thing that you could, say like this, obviously accepting Jesus is a huge thing.
What else is there?
Yeah, right. So, but maybe, something that goes along with that, like what's something that you've learned that has just changed everything for you?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, Brad.
That's a tough one.
It is. Again, I'm no longer a rescue swimmer, but I think each of us need to feel important. And again, when everybody's telling you, you're a hero, you're important, it feels good to the flesh. But the truth is, if a mom is home taking care of her kids, she's doing her duty.
Right.
That's the place that she's in, and that's a hero.
Yeah.
Just do your duty wherever God has you, whatever He has you doing.
That's good.
And if you get to do a cool job, praise God. If you do a mundane job, praise God. And it's no less important. And again, I really don't believe that I earned any jewels in my crown for doing those rescues. I got a reward here on earth, and it's over. It's done with.
Yeah.
But the Bible talks about what's wood, hay, and stubble gets burned out. If it's not done for Jesus, then our reward is in heaven.
Yeah.
It's
Amen.
not here on earth.
Yeah. Well, what you just said is so powerful too. Your job was a rescue swimmer. That's not who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of people get caught up in is whatever they do day to day, that becomes who they are, which is not the case at all.
That's correct.
I mean, it is who you are 9 to 5, maybe, but what about after 9 to 5? And that's the time when people start to feel empty. That's when they start, going to bars, drinking, going out, doing stuff, because they're trying to fill that void that you just can't fill without Jesus. So that's good what you said, though. I like that.
Yeah, actually, I intended to say that, but you said it for me. Thank you.
I stole it. I stole it.
It's not what you do is not who you are.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. It's just what you do.
Right. Yeah. Well, as we're closing up, would you mind praying for everybody and pray for people that may be in a similar situation that you were, where maybe they're a teenager, maybe they're not, but either way, they need that guidance and they need to know, what to do.
Sure.
All right.
One last quick thing.
Yeah, please.
So as I made chief and then senior chief in the Coast Guard, and as I got up in the ranks there, I realized there was a bunch of idiots working for me that used to act like I did, and so God gave me great patience in working with these knuckleheads, and I didn't just throw them out because they did stupid things. I worked with them and fought hard for them.
Yeah.
And one guy was in big trouble, and he went before the captain one time, and I was up there arguing on his behalf, and the captain said, "Okay, Senior Chief Reeves, I want you to vouch for this man." I laughed. I said, "Captain, I can't even vouch for myself. I mean, I said, they're risky business. I said, but this guy has potential to do good things." And I said, the question is, how much are you willing to risk on this guy, to give him another chance? So anyways, a lot of people call me a bleeding heart.
Yeah. You have a father's heart, that's for sure.
But, yeah, I refuse to give up on people, even if you get burned, which I did occasionally. And,
sure.
Long suffering. Sorry.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff. See, I'm telling you, full of wisdom, knowledge, compassion. But, yeah, pray for everybody.
I will.
All right.
All right. Father, thank you, Lord, for this evening. Thanks for the chance to come and share. And it's not about me, Lord. It's all about you. You did great things in my life. You changed my heart, Lord. I was hard-hearted, and I didn't even cry at my dad's funeral, but you softened me, and I praise you for that, Lord. I thank you for that, that you didn't leave me the way I was. If there's anybody out there with a hard heart right now, Lord, I pray that you'll use these words to soften their heart. And maybe they'll think about committing their life either back to you or to you for the first time. And I can tell you this, your heart will not rupture inside your chest. And another thing is, I did die that day. There was a little bit of truth in that lie. I died to myself that day, and I was born again into the Spirit of the living God. So praise God for that. If you don't know Jesus, give him a shot. Don't wait till you're 80. Lord, thanks for struggling so hard to rescue us. You did. You did a marvelous work there, and you went to such lengths to do it, and we fight you, Lord. I pray that anybody who's fighting you will just, again, soften their hearts and look to you for help. Lord, thanks for loving us. We praise you, and use us, Lord, to share your love with others.
Amen.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for, opening up and telling us, everything, all that. That's not easy to do to tell in front of, nobody's in the room with us, but in front of your brothers and sisters in the church. That's not easy to do, but I can promise you, you changed a lot of lives, because you never know what the person next to you is dealing with. You don't know their background. You don't know where they came from. You don't know anything like that. So without a doubt, you've changed some people's lives, and I know they won't be able to thank you enough. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget, be here Sunday, 9 and 11. Don't stay home. It's safe. You can come here. We clean the building. Come and be with us in person. We want to see your beautiful, beautiful faces here with us in person. Darren will be here to shake your hand, pat you on the back, tell you look good. So anyway, please, 9 and 11 every Sunday. We've got Kids Town for your children ages 0 to 12. On Sunday mornings, we have middle school that meets now. Wednesday night is the youth service. So we have an opportunity for every age to be a part. We love you all. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again, Darren.
You're welcome.
This is my dude right here. I love this guy. When we get off here, I'm gonna have him tell me some more stories. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great night and a great rest of your week.